Sure. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm very meticulous in my terminology about people who are on the other side of the aisle. I actually separate people who are liberal from people who are leftist. So when there are people who try to ban speech, I call them leftist. And if they are not interested in banning speech, then they're liberal, meaning they want bigger government, they disagree with me on politics, but they're still willing to have a conversation, they want an open forum. People who are on the hard left think that it's actually an insult to their identity to disagree with them. And this is what I experience sometimes on campuses, Cal State LA, where there's a near riot when I speak, or University of Wisconsin, where people storm the stage and stand in front of it and won't leave, or Penn State, where we have, again, another near violent incident over at Penn State, or DePaul, where they actually banned me outright. So sometimes you get this routine from people who think that they conflate their viewpoint with their identity, and then if you have a differing viewpoint, you're denying them their humanity. And it's like, no, I'm not denying you. I just think what you're saying is dumb. Like,
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, is that they have their identity completely connected with their ideology. And when you oppose these people, when you have these debates with these people, what's really fascinating is the level of hysteria that gets reached while you're staying calm.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed, is that there's a ton of, I tend to keep relatively calm, just as a human being. And very often when I'm debating someone, you see them getting more and more and more emotional. And people on the right love this because, of course, it's the triggering of the snowflakes. But the easiest thing in the world to do is trigger some idiot college kid who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And what's hard to do is actually discuss issues with somebody who's intelligent enough to make the point. But the level of hysteria on the campuses has really increased. I mean, I now have to travel with 2 members of security to every campus just because you don't know which campus is going to go off. I never had to travel with security before. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
How long ago did this start happening?
Well, February of 2016 is when I started traveling with security. So I spoke at University of Missouri. Remember they had the big blow up at University of Missouri with Black Lives Matter taking over campus offices and suggesting that there was some sort of big racism problem at Mizzou, which is just ridiculous. And so they flew me in. I did a speech there. And then the next time I spoke was Cal State LA, and they brought in a couple of security guys. And I was like, what do I need security for? I'm just speaking on a campus. Who cares? We get to the campus, and they had already tried to cancel my speech because of security. And I said, I'm coming anyway, so tough. I had to be escorted in by 20 armed police officers. I had to be escorted off campus by motorcycle cops flashing their lights. There were 300 students who had blocked all of the entrances, were physically assaulting people trying to get into the theater. The police had to sneak the students in 2 by 2 into the theater. They told them that until I left the campus, they couldn't actually let the kids out of the theater because they were afraid that if they let the kids out of the theater, they'd be attacked as they were released. That one was pretty wild. So after that, it was like, okay, well, I guess the security is necessary.
Wow. What is shifting? Like, what is ramping things up?
I think the identity politics is ramping things up. So I think there's a new mentality out there. It's this intersectionality politics on the left that says that there are a bunch of victim groups, basically. Right? There are blacks and Hispanics and gays and Jews and Asians. They're all victim groups. And we get all those people together to attack the system because the system is keeping them down. And and there's a hierarchy among these victim groups. And if you are a straight white male, you're at the very, very bottom of the hierarchy in terms of viewpoints that should be acknowledged because you're the creators of this vast white supremacist system that keeps down everybody else. So if you're a black woman, you're near the top, right? If you're LGBT, you're at the top. If you're a white guy and you challenge the viewpoint of a black woman, your viewpoint is an attack on her identity. And therefore, she has the right to shut you down. And so the idea is that your words are violence to her identity. And therefore, she has the right to react. This is the term you hear on campus a lot is microaggressions. And this idea that my opinion microaggresses you. Now, even that terminology I think is really stupid because normally in regular life we would say that's insulting and you said something I don't like. The terminology microaggression suggests aggression, like I'm actually doing something aggressive to you. And the rational response to someone aggressing you is to use physical force in response. And so you start to see a more violent response. I think it's been growing in our politics. I think there's a reactionary side on the right that's growing. If there's an identity politics on the left that says, black identity politics, gay identity politics, female identity politics, I think you're starting to see in some areas of white identity politics that's almost formed in response. Like, okay, well, if everybody else gets to have their identity politics, why can't we defend ourselves on those same grounds? I hate that shit. I mean, I think it's terrible.
I hate that shit too, and I would like to find the person who